Good morning. Well folks, it's 8th of February 2021 and it's time for Mythbusters episode 25. Many things are said about Scotland, independence, the Union, the European Union, etc. In these videos I bust the myths that many people believe. This week I sadly have to deal with the myth that the election in May and Indyref too are in the bag. It's fair to say that the SNP have seen better times. Here we are, closer to independence than we've ever been, and we seem determined to turn on each other rather than the unionist opposition. Between the Joanna Cherry reshuffle, internal controversies about the Gender Recognition Act, the Neil Hanvey controversy just this weekend, and of course the inquiry into the Alex Salmond investigation, you could be forgiven for thinking it was all over. But it's not. Now, I'm going to use the terms SNP Old Guard and SNP Wokes for the next bit, and I just want to say I mean no offence to either group in the use of it. I'm almost 45 years old, so consider myself neither old nor woke. They are used as a reflection of the internal battle lines that I've seen drawn but want to see erased. Whilst none of these distractions are particularly edifying to watch, they're almost inevitable. Apparently, the 19th of September 2014, the day after the independence referendum, was the day that the most people have joined a political party ever in the history of the United Kingdom. And we're fortunate that they chose to join the Scottish National Party. That explosive rise in SNP membership propelled a fringe party into being the third largest political party in the UK. But it was also quite unexpected, and as a party we probably weren't quite ready for it. Now, this change in demographics in the party also meant that some members who'd been with the SNP for a long time effectively became a minority within their own party. Some may have resisted that change, some may have felt that their party was leaving them, but it's worth remembering that that massive surge in membership and support that we had is the envy of every other political party. And with a new and probably younger demographic come younger and more progressive ideas and ultimately younger and more progressive policy directions. It may be things that the old guard aren't quite up to speed with, don't understand and are not quite ready for, but I'm afraid it's all part of being in such a broad political church. If you're an SNP member watching this, I want you to do a little exercise right now. Close your eyes and imagine a world where the SNP doesn't exist. Take independence out of your own personal political beliefs and then try to imagine which one of the remaining parties you'd be most attracted to. Does the answer surprise you? I'll bet some of you are even Conservatives. Without the unionist bit, of course. Now, the Labour Party have just had a failed experiment go disastrously wrong last year. Momentum is a party within a party, and when they finally managed to get their guy into the top job within the Labour Party, some people embraced the change, some people resisted, and then they turned on each other and they sabotaged each other, and many believe that they could have won the 2017 general election had they all just got behind Jeremy Corbyn. Now, our version of the same experience is a little bit different. The Momentum group within Labour were trying to make the current Labour Party more like the Labour Party of old. Many of the people who the current membership refer to as SNP woke are in fact the polar opposite of Momentum. They are seeking to give the party new, modern and progressive ideas. Many in the SNP Old Guard aren't quite on board with that as yet, and there has been friction. But we all share one overpowering thing in common. It's that we all felt and shared in the stinging disappointment on the 19th of September 2014. I was working abroad during Indyref 1, and on the morning of the 19th I was some 6 hours behind UK time, so as the day started for me, the result wasn't yet confirmed, but it wasn't looking good. As I later saw Alex Salmond give his concession and resignation speech, I thought that was the end of the movement, the end of the party, the end of the dream. But as we all know, I couldn't have been more wrong. The referendum and independence was the very reason for our party's existence, and losing the referendum should have finally killed us off. But as we know, it didn't. The 2015 UK general election, we won 56 out of 59 Scottish seats, virtually wiping out the Unionist parties. Maybe we peaked a little bit too early. In the 2016 Scottish election, the SNP won, but we lost our majority and had to enter into government with support for the Scottish Greens. 2017 UK general election, we won 35 out of 59 seats. And whilst admittedly there was a bit of a Tory resurgence, even in my own constituency, we still had well over half the Scottish seats in the UK Parliament. 2019 European election, the one we weren't supposed to be taking part in, the SNP increased its share of MEPs, winning 3 of the 6 seats. The others were shared between the Tories, Lib Dems and the Brexit Party. And in the 2019 UK general election, where we are back to dominant ways, 48 out of 59 seats in Scotland. Defeat in the independence referendum in 2014 should have been the death knell for the SNP as a party and the independence movement. But it has, rather counterintuitively, been the making of us. Because since 2014, we got English votes for English laws the very next day. 3 Tory governments that Scotland did not vote for have risen to power. We've had Brexit that Scotland did not vote for imposed on us, and look how well that's going. We've watched our sensible proposed Brexit compromises be ignored and then handed to Northern Ireland. And the only defence the Tories have for the Union is to arrogantly say no to the demand for another referendum. Their victory in the 2014 independence referendum initially emboldened Unionists. But every slight, every contemptuous remark, every time EVEL is invoked at Westminster, the independence argument is amplified, and that will be the undoing of the Union, as it has strengthened the case for independence all the more. And this is why the current internal ructions are most worrying. Poll after poll, election after election shows overwhelming support for us. Westminster don't have a clue what's happening up here. Despite plastering Union Jacks everywhere and sending Boris up on random tours, Scottish independence is still the dominant issue in our politics. The Tory arrogance is their only defence because they don't have another argument. The SNP is currently the biggest threat to the Union. We're closer than ever to independence, and despite their new Scottish Tory leader, the Tories are going in decline and are powerless to stop it. The only thing that can stop us from achieving independence is ourselves. And that's why all this falling out with each other needs to stop now. If you're one of the SNP old guard, then I urge you to be patient with the SNP woke crowd. You guys have kept this movement alive with dogged determination, faced with years of ridicule, abuse, hopelessness against seemingly unsurmountable odds. You've brought us to the foothills of the summit to independence. But time and tide wait for no one. Sadly, it's not going to wait for you. Without new blood, the party and the movement will die. And with new blood comes new ideas, new directions, and new policies. Now, if you feel that the party is no longer the one you joined, I do sympathise, but I'd also ask the following. Would you prefer that the party and the independence movement die as long as it dies in your image? Or is it preferable for the party to live on, to develop, to evolve, to become fit for the times we live in, and finally achieve that dream, even if it is under new management? If you are one of the SNP wokes, then I urge you, please be patient with the SNP old guard. Without them, their legwork over the years, there wouldn't have been a party for us all to join, and we'd be starting this from scratch right now. Now, the party's 87 years old. It took them 28 years to elect their first MP, 65 years to take their seats in the Scottish Parliament, 73 years to win the right to form a Scottish government, 80 years to get our first proper crack at independence, and 87 years to bring us this far. Without their efforts, that's where we'd be starting today, with no Holyrood Parliament and perhaps a first Indyref in the year 2101. And by the time that came around, the opinions, politics, sexual orientations, which to you are absolutely normal, but maybe an absolute mystery to the current SNP old guard, will barely raise an eyebrow. And a new generation of 22nd century SNP wokes will arrive with ideas that haven't even been conceived yet, thinking that challenge is yours, and then the tables will be turned. For you would then be the SNP old guard, scrambling about trying to understand and make sense of all these new ideas, disorientated and feeling the dynamics of your party change around you. So please be respectful of the SNP old guard and grateful for the launch pad they have provided for all of us. Folks, this weekend 15 Scotsmen went to England, and they showed what a focused, determined team of Scottish people could do with teamwork, unity of purpose, discipline, and a laser-like focus on one really important goal. As a result of that 80 minutes of laser-like focus, the Calcutta Cup has come back to Scotland. And we all felt great, proud to be Scottish, proud of our team and the effort they put in on our behalf. We need to do that. We need to refocus, join together and fight for independence right now, like we never have before. We were all witness to the UK Labour Party, its internal struggles and infighting, challenges to their leader, lack of party unity almost certainly cost them the chance to beat Theresa May in 2017. And if we as the SNP were to sat and watched Labour and repeated that mistake, it would be just like when the UK government watched COVID-19 tear through mainland Europe, but think that the UK was somehow exceptional. Let's not repeat their mistakes with infighting about old versus new ideas, whilst the most important idea of all, the ability to carve out our own place in the world, gets forgotten. We should not believe that we are similarly exceptional. Because the struggle for Scottish independence is over 700 years old. It's bigger than individuals. Cherry, Hanvey, Sturgeon, Salmond, it's even bigger than the SNP. But if the party want to be the ones to deliver it, we need to be more like the Scottish Rugby Team and less like the 2017 version of UK Labour if we want to deliver that glittering prize. It was the Labour MP Jo Cox, sadly killed while working for her constituents, who said, "We are far more united and have far more in common than that which divides us." And those words and wisdom are needed now, more than ever. So with that in mind, I'm calling for warring SNP Old Guard and SNP Wokes in the party and the Wider Indy Movement to take a step back from each other, take a breath, refocus and work together towards the most important idea of all. Many of our brothers and sisters haven't lived to see an independent Scotland. But if we don't sort ourselves out, don't stop baring our teeth at each other, and don't start baring them at our actual opposition, and we won't live to see it either. My daughter's 8 years old on Friday, and as much as I've loved meeting all my indie struggle brothers and sisters, I don't want to leave my daughter with the struggle for freedom that I have had to endure. I want to give her a life in a modern, successful, independent Scotland, and one where our old dad is sitting in a comfy chair with a nice dram and a cold beer, boring his grandchildren to death, all born in a free and independent country, by reminiscing about the struggle and the day that his party delivered independence. Who wants to join me telling that story? Folks, thanks for watching. Please feel free to share this video with anyone you like. DaviePHD.